Okay, everyone, with just 70 days till the midterm elections, Donald Trump's policy strategy to keep Republicans winning appears to be to make life harder and more expensive for you and them, make it harder for them, too. I mean, take, for example, Trump's decision to restart his trade war with Canada. We were just talking about this with Jim Messina and Tim Miller. One of, again, our most important trading partners and one of the most important trading partners to a lot of states. Over the weekend, after walking away from trade negotiations, the Trump administration announced a new 50% tariff on Canadian goods. And today, a very pissed off Canada responded by announcing retaliatory tariffs as high as 50% on hundreds of American products, a lot of which come from states like Maine, Michigan, North Carolina, Ohio, and Wisconsin. You know, the states where voters will go to the polls in a matter of weeks. Excellent work, Mr. President. You got him this time. Or how about Trump's plan to bring down the price of beef from its near record high? Apparently, Trump's big strategy for that is to encourage imports of ground beef, 300,000 metric tons of it, by exempting it from his own tariffs for 90 days, like some sort of an arsonist promising to stop pouring gasoline on a fire, but only for a limited time. There's also the added fact, and this is very important, that no one in his administration is willing to say where this new mystery beef is coming from, just that it will be cheaper. They promise. Just trust them, of course, because they're to be trusted. Nor have they factored in the medium and long-term impact on farmers and ranchers in states that include Iowa, Montana, Nebraska, and Texas, and yes, North Carolina, too. One angry farmer in North Carolina told Queen City News that he thinks this beef exemption is pure politics and that Trump is, quote, trying to buy votes for the midterms. Doing this is not going to help any rancher or cattle farmer in this country. Joining me now is the former governor of North Carolina, Roy Cooper, who is now the Democratic nominee for U.S. Senate in that state. It's great to see you, Governor. I just want to start with this renewed trade war with Canada and how it's going to impact North Carolina. And I wanted to play for you something that Ontario Premier Doug Ford said yesterday. You and he have very different styles, I'm just going to say, but he makes some interesting points in here. So we'll talk about it on the other side.
When it comes to the midterms, I have a message to the Americans. Don't vote in a person that's going to kill your jobs. He ran on creating more jobs. Last time I checked, jobs went down in the U.S. and Ontario created more jobs. He ran on reducing the cost of living. Last time I checked, food's more expensive down there. Homes are more expensive. And the reason homes are more expensive because he has a tariff on our lumber, which 33% of all homes that are built in the U.S. use Canadian lumber.
Again, maybe different styles here, but make some interesting points. The retaliatory tariffs were announced today. What's your response to Trump restarting this tariff war with our neighbor to the north and the impact it could have in a state like North Carolina?
Why are we fighting with Canada?
Canada
is North Carolina's #1 foreign export country. And what we're seeing is small businesses and farmers getting killed. Pender and Wilson County already hurt by the cost of fertilizer and equipment and having a difficult time making a profit. I was with Ann today, runs Scottish Gourmet USA. The tariffs are cutting into her profits, which she has very little now, and the rest of them are being passed on to consumers. We're hearing it from people. Stuff just costs too much. My opponent, though, Michael Whatley, is going to do and say whatever this president tells him to do and say, regardless of whether it's good for the people of North Carolina or the people of this country. And he says that prices are going down. He says that we've defeated inflation. He says that the tariffs are an important economic tool. We know that that's not true. And I think the people of North Carolina are going to see that they're not benefiting from this and in fact are hurting. But what he's going for here is the money to fuel his campaign. He knows North Carolina is close and can go either way. The Supreme Court a month or so ago gave them a new tool that is the worst decision since Citizens United that allows these joint committees They're going to funnel this money through and have unlimited spending. And now they're scheming to get a discount rate on television advertising for all of it. And so his plan is to just overwhelm us. That's why we need grassroots donations, why we need help here in North Carolina to make sure we win this race and take back the Senate majority. People can go to roycooper.com, see our plan to lower prices and to help us out.
I know that in North Carolina, early vote ballots go out pretty soon in the next 2 weeks, I believe. It's the earliest state in the country where those go out. A lot of people saw this news about the Supreme Court decision yesterday, and it made them really nervous about their ability to participate in the process. What are you telling people about that in North Carolina? What should people out there understand about their ability to early vote?
People should know that elections are going to be safe and secure, and they should be ready to vote. But we know that this potential Supreme Court decision, if they come back and decided on the merits to allow any part of this executive order to go forward, it could potentially throw the election into chaos, particularly when it comes to absentee ballots in North Carolina. We're already seeing our Republican-controlled Board of Elections take steps to make it harder for people to vote. They have curbed Sunday voting. They have taken ballot boxes from college campuses, and clearly they're targeting people that they don't believe are going to vote for them. So if they get any inkling that this Supreme Court is going to allow any part of this executive order on these absentee ballots, then we could potentially have a problem. But we need people to come out and vote, and we're going to fight them every step of the way. And I think you're seeing a lot of people in North Carolina, particularly on college campuses, are having a "I'll show you" attitude. Mm-hmm. You're not going to take our vote away. We'll show you. I went to North Carolina A&T State University, the largest HBCU in North Carolina. They removed that ballot box from their campus, but the students are marching to the nearest polling place, and they're spreading the word that it's really important for them to get out and vote in this election because our country needs a course correction. And that's what they can do in these midterms by putting the checks and balances back into the Constitution that the framers intended.
Former Governor Roy Cooper, thank you so much for joining me. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Jen.